Evening. Welcome to Thursday evening live question and answer session on the Living in Utah channel. I hold this every week at the same time. I've been sticking to this time, and I think we're gonna stay with this time. It seems to work out very well. It's an open forum. You can ask any kind of question you want about living in Utah, real estate, investing topics in the world, et cetera, by all means, post any questions you might have. It's just an open forum. So I'm just here with my laptop and reviewing the questions. And we'll also talk today about a market update. What's going on in the market as far as real estate goes in the state of Utah? It's a weather-wise in Utah, it's been an up and down week. It was beautiful out yesterday and the day before. Today we had a storm front come through and it's raining right now. It rained this afternoon, probably getting snow in the higher elevations. So we're also joined this evening by David M. You'll see right there, if you have any kind of mortgage questions, by all means, shoot them up. We've got somebody that will help answer any kind of questions. And I have a question for you, David, that was actually asked to me today. So it's on the top of my mind. And I'll get your answer. When we're talking interest rates, people will see a posted rate of, say, 2.25%, and then it will say 2.35% APR. Could we get an explanation, please? So that's how the weather has been in Utah. It's been kind of an up and down week. I've been up and down this week. On Monday, I had to have my second dose of the COVID shot. Monday night, I just had like a headache, managed to take care of it with some medicine. Tuesday morning, the same way. Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday night, hit me like a ton of bricks. Felt like very bad cold, flu-like symptoms. My body ached. I had no energy. Really knocked me out. Really knocked me out. Didn't sleep very well. So, okay. So I asked a question of David. And for anybody else out there, when you see a rate, let's say, for instance, a mortgage rate that says 2.25%, and then it says 2.35% APR, the first number is interest only, while the APR includes all other fees. So that was my same answer there, David. So great. So, all right. Question. Good evening. What can be done when the property appraisal comes in too low? That's tough. That's tough. In the market like it is right now, basically, my opinion is that the rates, their appraisals, are not keeping up with what is selling. But there's not a whole lot you can do once. I mean, you can apply for like reconsideration, have them look at it again. You could have another appraiser, have another appraisal done on it, but a lot of banks may not take that second appraisal. So it's a tough situation, but what you can do, and this is something that needs to be done by your agent probably, when you are under contract for a home, once your offer is accepted and you're under contract for a home, you need to make, or your agent needs to make a list to have it ready. So when the appraiser calls, says, I need to go out there, this list is there. So if the home's been rehabbed or it's got upgrades, et cetera, or room counts, anything that you can think of that would raise the rates, including comps of homes that have sold. And I've actually included homes, if I can't find something close by, I've included homes from a little bit of a distance just to say, hey, this just sold 2 weeks ago for X amount of dollars. And you put that in a little PDF and you ship it to the appraiser. Appraisers are, they're very, very busy. there's a lot of refinancing going on, a lot of home purchases. Appraisers are busy, busy, busy. So the more information that they have, I think the better job that can be done. So that's how I tackle it, especially in this market here. Try to put together everything. It sometimes takes a very keen eye because I'll list stuff like new paint, new trim, upgraded doors, upgraded lighting, et cetera, that you see above what's something like if the home was built in 1976, but right now it's got thousands of dollars worth of upgrades. So I list everything that I notice. And sometimes it requires going through the home a second time. So that's about the best that you can do. It's, it's also a word of caution. I know a lot of people are doing this and that they're putting offers that say we will pay X amount of dollars above appraisal. Yeah, people who are doing that, I hope they have the funds to do that with. That's what I'm going to say about that. We were just working with a client this weekend, and we put an offer on a home and had 16 offers on the home. Ours did not get accepted. The one that got accepted was one that would pay X amount above appraisal. And I told the client, you have your options, and they didn't feel comfortable with doing that because they didn't know what the appraisal will come in at. So there could be a $20, $30, $40, $50,000 difference easily. So it can be, it can be tricky. All right, Andy, another question. Still dealing with some of the effects of the COVID here, the COVID shot. I had a low appraisal once on a refi. The appraiser didn't measure the home. The lender ordered another appraisal, and the first appraiser had only one comp on a home that was much smaller than mine. Yes, and that can happen too. And that's the other thing too, is to look at the actual appraisal and make sure all the numbers are correct. Square footage, the comps, et cetera, et cetera. Get all that kind of information. But it's hard after the fact. I prefer to try to fight it before it goes to that stage, putting together a little packet of, things that you notice about the home and et cetera, et cetera. Especially homes that are maybe like in a cul-de-sac, that's a bonus, being in a cul-de-sac, et cetera, et cetera. What's been done to the yard, landscaping, there's a lot that can go into it that may not get noticed. Mr. Z, I can't believe another week has gone by. You're exactly right. I don't know where the last year has gone. When COVID first hit, I can't believe it's been a year. I don't know where the last year has gone. I don't know, shorted fly by. I can remember this time last year, though, that the buzzword in the media and everything was, we're waiting until summer because as the temperatures warm up, we're going to see less cases of COVID and it should go away. And that didn't happen. So amazing how things change. So now we're all out running, getting COVID shots. And COVID is still here. As far as Utah goes, if you're tracking any kind of COVID, maybe you're in another state or something like that. Our numbers we're averaging about 500 new cases per day, which is down significantly. Just 2 or 3 months ago, we had 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 cases per day. So the numbers are coming down. Great. Okay. Sure did fly by. Thank you very much. Great. It's Thursday night. Yes. It's Thursday night football here. Yeah, in this market with appraisals, it's hard. It is hard. And that's one reason too. You'll notice homes sometimes go back on the market. So some of it's to do with People can't come up with the difference of the money or et cetera, et cetera. But you are seeing a few homes get relisted on the market. And some of that's due to appraisals and a variety of things. So, but speaking of the market, what's happening in Utah's market? When we take all the counties combined, everything, lump them up, one whole area. Today, if I was to print you out a list of every home that is for sale, and I mean condos, townhomes, $1 million homes, you name it, we have 1,987 homes as of about half hour ago. That is it. Less than 2,000 homes to cover a population over 3 million people. As we break it down, I pulled some numbers from some of the more well-known counties that people seem to ask me about. So Cache County, which would be the Logan, Utah area, currently has 51 properties that you could go and see. Box Elder County, we'll go down the state. Box Elder County has 26 homes. Weaver County, which is the Ogden area and surrounding cities, 107 homes. Davis County, which would be Layton, Kaysville, Farmington, 127 homes. Salt Lake County, our largest county, would be 562 homes. Utah County has 345 homes on the market. And Washington County, down south with St. George is the big area, 84 homes. That's all we have. That's it. Mr. Z, I heard a couple young men talking about renting a room. I made the comment that it would probably be a low-end property if it even exists. Do you agree? Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't renting a room. It was renting to own. Yes. Yes and no. Yes and no. There's two takes on rent to own. Yes, you don't see as many right now, and typically in a buyer's market, you'll see a lot more, entice people to get in the homes. But there is some investors. So the rent to home, let me tell you about the rent to home. I guess I'll call it a scam, but it's a tool that some investors do because they know they can make money. So they'll do a rent to home with a large down payment, $10,000, $20,000, and they rent it under the fact that they feel all the money they collect and the down payment money over, say, a 2-3 year period, it's a huge chunk of money. They realize that most people, if their credit is not that great right now, in 2 or 3 years, that probably will not change. So after their term, they will then have them leave the home and they've collected that big down payment and all that money ahead of time. So it's an investment strategy. Some people do it. And I guess maybe I shouldn't call it a scam, but it's not something that I would particularly partake in. I think it's a little bit on the shady side. And they'll do that time and time again. So those people move out of the home, they'll put it back up for rent to own again, take a large deposit, collect that money, knowing more than likely at the end of the term, the people probably will not qualify for regular financing, and then they take the home over again, et cetera, et cetera. So they keep turning the same home time and time again. So that is something that does go on. So you will always find like rent to owns. It's an investment strategy that some people like. Some people like. So it's not something I do. I just do the traditional rentals and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of that, of doing that. But yeah, rent to owns are you don't see as many. If we turn to a buyer's market, you'll see a lot more as some homes get more struggle to sell some. It's an option. So if you have any kind of mortgage questions, you'll notice somebody on the feed here, David M. He is a mortgage rep and he can answer any kind of questions we have on mortgages. So shoot your questions up there about mortgages, and we can get a second opinion on that. So welcome, Claudia. What would be your limits on offering money over the appraised value to secure the contract? You know, that's a great question. That's a great question. And there's not an exact answer because you don't know what the appraisal is going to come in at. Home's listed for $325 and you say, I will pay $25,000 above appraised. Well, the big unknown in that situation is, what is the appraised value? Is it 300? Is it 325? Is it 330? If the appraisal came at 330, you'd be paying 355 because that extra 25,000. I would only do something that you are financially secure handling to make the deal happen. And so if all you have is maybe $10,000 and you're going $10,000 above appraised value, you might be stuck. If the appraisal comes in low, you might be stuck trying to find them additional funds. So if 10,000 is all you have, you may only go 4,000 or 5,000, give you a little bit of a cushion in case it does not come in at what is listed. That's the big unknown, is what will the appraisal be? So the other one that's really hard. So we lost out on this deal, and the man that I was representing really wanted the home, but you talked to him today. I just talked to him this evening, and I think he's really, really glad. We also lost out to somebody who offered a couple of the offers was I was told it was a 5-digit non-refundable deposit. So that'd be $10,000 and above, non-refundable. And that's a scary slope too. To me, that's like taking money to Las Vegas. There's a lot that can happen with a non-refundable hard deposit. You could have a home inspector in there, and he says, you know, the roof's shot, it's been leaking a long time, the wood's all warped, you've got major repairs, and you say, well, I want to pull out of the home. Well, if you put a non-refundable deposit down, you know, bye-bye. That is a hard one for me to swallow personally as an agent. And we're seeing it. We're seeing stuff like this from time to time. So personally, if I was doing a non-refundable, and this is exactly what I told this man, was maybe $1,000 or something. If you feel secure about the home, etc., that it would actually go through and everything. But to be doing a 5-figure non-refundable deposit is, you could lose some money. So it's crazy. I was talking to an agent in LA, and this was a very expensive home. The winning bidder, the buyer side, offered to buy a brand new Mercedes just to make the deal happen to the seller. So that's how some offers can go. I haven't seen that in Utah where you're getting a brand new car. I've heard of some other things, but this is what just happened in Southern California. So I was talking to somebody. It's crazy sometimes. Yeah, so that would be, it's a tough question. Appraised value to secure a contract. Very tough question. It's whatever you're comfortable with. And I would honestly, I would make sure it was definitely a home that you spent at least half an hour to 40 minutes going through the home, trying to possibly work out all the scenarios that possibly might, if there was anything wrong with the home, if you can notice anything, cracked foundation, roof problems, maybe potential mold, et cetera, that you're pretty solid at it. It's a pretty solid home that you're putting that offer on. It will be the other thing. So sometimes people will go through a home in just like 5 minutes, and they're like, well, if I win it, then I'll bring a home inspector out, et cetera. But so that would be how I would do it. Mr. Z, my friend got a horse with a property in Evanston, Wyoming? Yes. Yes. Evanston is, properties are available in Evanston. So yeah, especially if you want like horse property. So actually this property that we just put an offer on the weekend was actually horse property. That's one of the reasons it had so much attention, It was a little bit hard to find sometimes. So, all right. Just a reminder, if you have any kind of like mortgage related type questions, we have someone in the chat here that can help us answer any of those questions. So by all means, shoot any kind of mortgage. So when I was also looking at some of the data on what's happening in Utah, I also pulled up the average sold price as of today. And we'll start at the top of the state with Cache County, Logan, Utah area, $359,000. And this is compiling everything from condos all the way up to multi-million-dollar homes. So when they break it all down and divide it, $359 for cash. Down to Box Elder County, the Brigham City area, $357,000. Down to Weber County, Ogden, Utah, and surrounding cities, $381. Davis County, $462. Salt Lake County, one of our largest counties, $512,000 average home price, sold price. Utah County, $461,000, pretty much identical with Davis County. Very, very similar numbers. Washington County, St. George area, $522,000. That is actually the highest on the list. And I was shocked about that because it primarily used to be Salt Lake County. So that's how busy it's getting down there in St. George area. Question. What is considered a good interest rate this month in a home loan? Great question. I think it depends. I'm going to let David answer this also. I don't keep the rates change daily. So we were about, you could still pick up like some 3%ers, maybe 3.25. I'm talking on a 30-year loan. So David's answer. So David is in the mortgage business. So this is right from somebody who sees rates every single day. We're looking around 3.5% give or take. Looks like we might be heading to 4% in the not too short future. Wow, that's some good information. That's the first I have heard that we potentially might be in the short term going to 4%. I was thinking maybe it might be closer to maybe sometime next year. We would maybe ride this year out in the threes. So that's good to know. Okay, I did skip one question there as I was going on the answer there, but Mr. Z had, any restrictions to taking money from a Roth IRA for first house? What's the max amount for Roth IRA and 401k I can take out for a house? I don't have the answer on that, Mr. Z. I would agree with David. I would talk to a CPA on that. Tax laws change so much. If you have someone who does your taxes, probably just give him a quick call and ask him. So when I run into my tax guy, I could ask him about that. So I don't know. I've always been told that when you take money out of an IRA, there is penalties. So financial penalties for early withdrawal. But those tax rules might have changed. So, and they may change in the future. Who knows? Okay, Claudia. Thanks, guys. You betcha. So, any more questions? I do have a question for you, David, because this was asked to me today. They had called me about interest rates also, and they were looking for a 15-year mortgage. And they came across a company that put on their site that they had a 15-year mortgage for 1.87%. Maybe it's 1.85. I can't remember exactly. If the lady's on here tonight, she might clarify that a little bit for me. Do you think, David, that is true or false, or was that going to be a bait and switch type of ad? That'd be my question. That's what was asked to me, and I thought that that was very low in my opinion, and I had never heard of a 15-year fixed rate at 1.87. So, and we could talk about it more, David. If you don't know for sure, sometime I could get back to them on that. But that'd be my question. Do you think that's a true rate, or was that some kind of bait and switch, or was that with a large down payment, et cetera, et cetera? Oh, except for qualified purchases, which I believe is a house. That could be true, Mr. Z. That could be true. Yeah, it's definitely something that you definitely want a good CPA responding to that. You would hate to find out years down the road you got a notice from the IRS and you owe X amount of dollars and you've got to come up with the money. That would be a scary thought right there. So yeah, if I was making a move like that, I would talk to my tax guy 100%. Matter of fact, I would probably sit down with him and let him know exactly what I was doing so that we were both clear on the terms so I don't get some surprise tax bill. Okay, David answered. A lot of times in those situations, the fine print says you are paying X up front to prepay your interest to get that rate. Great. Yes. Okay. And that's what I was kind of thinking was, what's the truth behind that? Because it seemed very, very low. So when you're seeing a rate like that, you may have to put X amount of dollars up front to buy down your interest rate. So it's, when you're dealing with mortgages and things like that, in the whole realm, it's hard for somebody like me to answer all those questions. Things change so much, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't see, not being in that particular realm of business time and time again. That's why I always try to refer that off to someone who is in a mortgage business to get a good, correct answer, and nothing that would be, misleading. So, okay, David answered. We always match a better rate if our clients find a better rate, but oftentimes that is the situation. Okay, well, definitely. So the lady who called me this afternoon, I will let her know that we haven't found them a home yet, so we've still got a little bit of time. And they were searching the internet today and called me, and they were a little bit confused on a couple things. So it's good to know. So great. And that's what and as we talk about dealing with people, whether you're dealing with a real estate agent or you're dealing with a mortgage or title person, and I personally like to deal with people that can give me an honest answer like that. That is so important to me. Let's the truth from the fact. And if you can't do the deal, that's fine. And I appreciate that honesty in life. Sometimes, you're the best I can do is this, and I can't do this. Going to the store and buying a gallon of milk. One store's got it for $2.24, one's got it for $2.50. If the store goes, hey, we just can't go that low, great. I appreciate the honesty. So it's great to always be able to go to somebody, whether it's a mortgage rep or someone else, and say, give me the lowdown on what this rate is and what this rate means, and what's the drawback, what's the pros, what's the cons, and let's make a decision from there. Always leery about the ones who, it happens as real estate agents. In this is the one thing that gets me all the time in this industry is there are websites out there that will list homes and they say they're for sale, and then every time I look them up, they're under contract. But they do that so you give your name and information. They call you every single day, 24 hours a day, to try to help sell you a home, and it's not a particular way that I like to do business. I see it all the time. Somebody just called me this weekend, and actually 2 different homes, and I didn't even know they were because I didn't find them, and so I then looked them up, and they were both already under contract. And they'd been under contract for many, many days. So it was totally misleading, in my opinion, totally misleading, totally false. So, okay, any more questions, especially mortgage questions? We can knock out mortgage questions tonight. Have you seen anything, David, from the Biden administration? Any kind of news on mortgage rates and home ownership? And the theory for my question was there was some talk when Joe Biden was running about making more people in the United States homeowners. So I was wondering if you had heard anything along those lines of maybe what the administration was planning on doing to try to allow more people to be homeowners in the country, in the United States. So I always like that news. I think owning a home is one of the greatest investments that we have in the United States. And I will debate that for forever. So, and I know we're in a time where there is a lot of people who want to rent because they want the flexibility. They want to be able to go to Austin, Texas, and then move on to Florida or wherever they want to go. They just want to rent so that if they want to move, their friends move somewhere else, they can just pack up and move. And that's a very popular thing that's going on. But I still believe that owning a home is a great, great asset in the United States. So. Okay, David, if you want to find out what you're being charged for before going into a contract, you can always ask for a free schedule to see if they're charging you up front for that interest. Yeah, very true. I wasn't thinking about that. Yeah, very true, David. Very, very true. Mr. Z, here's my take. Since I'm not married, no kids, I will continue renting until a housing market crash. In the meantime, I'll save time and money, dollars in stocks. Yeah, that is definitely a situation that people do partake in. Definitely. The only drawback that I see about that, and I've got people who, that their number one thing they say once they purchase a home, I wish I would have done this 5 years ago. I wish I would have done it 10 years ago, because they start adding up what they paid in rent and realize they didn't get any of that money back. So if you're paying, I always use the number $1,500. If you're paying $1,500 a month over 5 years, that's $90,000. Over 10 years, that's $180,000 that you don't get any of that money back. So that's the number one regret. People, I just wish I would have bought a home sooner, and all this money that I paid. So I sold a home to a man that was about 60 years old, had moved here from California, could never afford to purchase a home in California. And that was one of his biggest regrets. Was he said, I've rented for 40 years approximately. And, but he just was always priced out of the market in California. So. Okay, Claudia's got a question. Is it worth it to refinance a home loan just to drop 1%? Great question. I will definitely let David answer that. Mr. Z, or were they thinking, why did I settle with these screaming kids all this time? It's true. That's true. That could be true. Could be true. I don't know, Mr. Z. I've enjoyed married life. I've been married for many years, and it's one of the greatest joys I've enjoyed by far. So I'm not complaining. It's always worth looking at the numbers. There are a few moving parts that make a difference. We can always go over that with you to show you the numbers. Okay. So, Claudia, if you would like to, David would be glad to go over the numbers with you, and I'll have David throw up his phone number and email address. So reach out to him. And if anybody would like to reach out to David with anything, mortgage related or whatever, David would be glad to answer those questions also. But I'll have him throw up his phone number and email address. So whichever way you prefer contacting him, and he can take a look at that. Okay. And continue renting, Mr. Z. Okay. So David's advice is, in terms of locking in a rate, we recommend locking now since we have been indicated rates are going up further. Okay. So you heard it from David. Good. So I will tell you a funny story, Mr. Z, about married life and renting. So I had this bright idea. This was back in 2005, 0405. We decided to sell our home and build a home, have a home built. And actually, it was the home we're in right now, we had built. So I said to the wife, well, why don't we just sell and then we'll rent an apartment. And then when the home gets done, we'll move in there. Okay, great idea. So we rented apartments here locally, and we thought we rented at a great place. And my wife come home from work one night, and she backs the truck up in the thing and gets out of the truck, and a man goes running down the sidewalk, and 2 or 3 cops go running right behind. And she came in and goes, "We are moving." So that was the end of the renting. We are out of here. And it's kind of funny because the market was going up so much as the house was built. I was at the house one time, and there were some people that stopped by, and they were like, "Will you sell me the house? Will you sell me the house?" And me being a real estate agent, I was like, "Yeah, if I can make money on it, I'm going to sell it." And my wife's like, "There's no way we're selling the house because we're not living in that apartment." So there went that idea. So I was considering selling it and building another house, but no, the apartment life ended very quickly. So after many, many years of being married, I can tell you one thing I learned: happy wife, happy life. So that's all you have to know beyond that. So, and it may have taken a while for me to learn that, but boy, does it stick 100%. So, a few years ago, it was time to buy a new truck. My wife drives a truck, and I took her at every single truck that was made and let her decide which brand that she would like. So 100%. Now, if she would have said like maybe a pink truck, I may have stepped in a little bit on that, but that was okay. See, David knows. Wife always wins. I think David's been married a year, I think, if I remember correctly. Well, if you already know that, David, that's you're on the road to success at an early time. During my young years, I don't know if I would have remembered as much as that. So probably got myself into more trouble. Yep. But it's all good. It's all good. Any more questions this evening? It's been a great night. And so we've got David's information there on the computer. So if you would like to find out on like refinancing the home loan, et cetera, let him run some numbers. He definitely can help you with that. Or if you have any more, any kind of mortgage questions or anything like that, or possibly what the market is doing in the mortgage department, et cetera, give David a shout. So we'll see what goes. And that's going to be an interesting fact to look to over the next few months. So we've got possibly mortgage rates bumping up. We also got the mortgage forbearance looming, which is going to be the end of June. This last stimulus bill, they were talking about extending the mortgage forbearance to I believe the end of September, but it looks like that wasn't included in the package. So I don't know where that got lost or where it's at anymore. I thought for sure that would be signed into law, but it's looking like mortgage forbearance will be the end of June. So a couple things to watch out for is maybe rates bump up a little bit and maybe mortgage forbearance comes to an end. See how that pans out. There's a lot of people in mortgage forbearance at the moment. The unknown number that no one really knows is how many of those people are in mortgage forbearance because they cannot pay, and how many are in there just so that they would not have a payment and can use the money for other things. And they figure, I'm just going to ride this train as long as I can. And then and I think in the state of Utah, we won't see much impact. That's my personal opinion. I mean, we're at 3% unemployment. Everywhere you go, people are hiring. There's jobs all over. So I think most people who are in mortgage forbearance probably could make their payments when it comes time due. Where I get a little nervous is areas like Las Vegas. Very high unemployment down there. So, when it comes to, there probably is a lot of people in mortgage forbearance down there that lost their jobs, and that's why they're in mortgage forbearance and they're looking for work. So that might be a little bit of a scary market in areas like that. And other parts of the country too that is seeing very high unemployment rates. So that's my take on it. I don't think we'll have a whole bunch in Utah, possible foreclosures because of the people not, paying their loans. So, all right. I've seen a hot pink Lamborghini that was pretty hot. Okay. Chrysler would not be allowed. They are pretty, maybe, but quality of Chrysler is poor. Well, Mr. Z, it really doesn't matter to me. It's like the wife's happy, then I'm happy. So whatever the vehicle is, I'll pay the money. Well, somewhat. I don't know if I'm going to go buy a Lamborghini for, I don't know if I can afford that, but actually the last truck that my wife had was a Dodge Ram. So did not go with a Dodge Ram. Actually, she was going to buy a Dodge Ram. Actually, that's the first truck we looked at again was a Dodge Ram, but ended up driving the one she likes now. And she just got out and was like, I love this truck right here. So, or this brand of truck. We didn't buy that particular truck. So we then looked around for different colors and option packages and stuff like that. And I actually had to go out of state for it at the time. I had to go to Boise, Idaho to pick it up. So Toyota or Honda only. So when it comes to truck, I'm a domestic guy. I like the domestic trucks. I really do. And we drove the Toyotas and the Nissans, et cetera, but we do love the domestic trucks. So Toyota, Honda, or divorce. Okay, there you go. I don't know. There's a saying there, Mr. Z. Another saying I got. It's cheaper to keep her. So divorce over a vehicle might be expensive. So, okay. Any more questions tonight before I wrap up and call it a night? It's been a great night. Be back again next week. And I appreciate everybody. Thank you very much.